Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
How do you stay visible, relevant, and credible? I'm Red O'Loughlin. This is Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And by the way, if you happen to be on YouTube today, please subscribe if you haven't already to the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And also to Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck on YouTube. Really appreciate that a lot. Thank you. But how do you stay visible, relevant, and credible? Let me load my slides and I'll give you a little introduction what's going on here. About a week or so back, I give a talk once a month to a networking group, and I talk about credibility and authority. But I focus on being an author and how does an author add that instant credibility that it usually does. And as I was thinking about it, I was in, what's my topic this week going to be? I'll talk mostly about aging, about health and wellness. And I've been wanting to not necessarily focus on that, but to keep something relevant, but to keep my brain fresh from all this editing I'm doing right now. And a lot of it is a lot of editing. So I said, why not take that same program I did for this other networking group and just convert it a little bit for business owners in general, for people in general. So the program today we're doing is live stream on Amazon Fire, E360 TV, YouTube, Android TV, social media, many, many more. And all my shows are for awareness and education. Next one here, let's get that one up and get going. Okay. My website has all my contact information, about 1,500 blogs, a lot of information there. So if you need to contact me, go to redolaughlin.com. That's R-E-D, like the color, red, O'Loughlin, OLAUGHLIN.com, redolaughlin.com. How do you stay visible, relevant, and credible? Okay. All of our live shows, the ones you're watching right now, are about 15 different networks out there, but primarily we're found on YouTube. All my archive shows are found on YouTube. My primary focus in life when I'm not doing TV shows is root cause analysis. I look at the human body at the cellular level from a biological and chemical perspective. I consider myself a translator of complexity, especially about the human body. So I try to focus on not only what helps, but also makes conditions worse. But I'm always looking at aging. How can we make good decisions with regard to our aging? I'm a researcher. That's what I call myself nowadays. I've never been in the medical or pharmaceutical fields. First degree was chemistry. Got to just be just literally in time to go to Vietnam. Never had a chance to practice it much, but I got 5 totally different academic degrees, 7 professional certifications. But my real expertise during my corporate world was quality, reliability, and logistics. I was in the Navy for 31 years, retired as a Navy captain, naval aviator. I was fortunate enough to have traveled to 64 countries and got an invitation to both Vietnam and Bosnia beginning and end of my career. My specialty, my niche is cause and effect relationships. If you can treat a cause, you can fix a problem most of the time. But if you're only treating symptoms, the cause is still there and never goes away and could get worse. On a personal note, literally here in about 6 weeks, I'll be married 58 years. My 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and my great-grandson just turned 2 beginning of the year. Best-selling author, 7, hope to be 8 books coming out, independently published over 50 for other authors. Distinguished Toastmaster, writer. I've published over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn international TV host. I'm #1 most valuable player on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, and I really appreciate that network for giving me that opportunity. And last year, I was also the #3 host. Okay, running out of introduction stuff here. 2 books today that might help that I've written, one that's coming out and one that's already there. Failure is not an option. I take the basics and I actually add a few new aspects to that most people don't consider about when they're trying to assess how do you succeed. I have my other book, Aging Sucks, and that one deals with how do you actually treat the molecules in your body after damage has occurred in order to keep yourself healthy and to keep yourself from not getting into that accelerated aging stage. So how do you stay visible, relevant, and credible? Again, for information and educational purposes. And so my disclaimer typically is for all my health shows, but I'm going to give it today anyway because I think it's important. Everything I talk about is for education information. Does not constitute any medical, diagnostic, or treatment advice. If I reference a particular compound or chemical, it's strictly in a research context. And if you need to make a change in your life, consult a qualified medical professional before you make that change. Okay, I think we're just about there. July 4th, big date, coming up very, very soon. Aging Sucks. That's my latest book coming out. The book is written. It's edited for all practical purposes. I'm formatting it now for 6x9 format, getting those last little standardization details out. I plan on doing a webinar series coming out in about September on several aspects of aging, health, and related issues. And in the big scheme of things, yeah, we talk about aging sucks, and people laugh. But I think I had 2 people over the weekend, over the past week. It doesn't have to. And I said, yeah, I agree. I said, about 1 in 20 people tell me it doesn't have to. But most of us, we don't know what aging is. We don't know even how to address it. But for me, aging involves balance. You have damage occurring in the body at every cell at every second. But our bodies are very resilient. They have the ability to counter those repair, to counter that damage, and to keep you healthy, to give you that ability to recover, to adapt, to become stronger. Aging is an accumulated damage exceeding our repair capability. You get to that point in time in your life, your risk of disease increases, the rate of acceleration of aging increases. So let's get started with today's program. If you're in business, if you're an author, if you're just in general and you're interested, when's the last time you did a Google search on yourself? What are the results? Were they what you expected? All of us want to be on page 1 of Google. I can remember way back when I first started looking, there was some guy on Hawaii 5-0 that had a similar name to mine that, he would pop up all the time. And then there was another show where Red, whatever was on the show. And it was just, anyway, there's been some confusions on mine in the past, but I've been working on it quite a bit. And so you got to ask yourself, if you're not there, what's missing? Why is it missing? Because that missing link is the difference between your competence and an opportunity to grow. And most of us are invisible. We really are. Now, we may not be invisible today in the same category that we were 5 years ago, but we probably still have some level of invisibility that's there, that we're not quite seen as many places as we want to be. And when that happens, you're not always selected. You're not selected. You're not booked. You're not remembered. You're not promoted. You're not hired, trusted, or interviewed. A lot of knots in that category of invisibility. And so we have ways of changing that. So if you concentrate on your visibility and you become more familiar to people, now that familiarity starts to breed or create credibility. And over time, that credibility makes you an authority. So I started this visibility presentation at a local networking group. My focus then was apply it to authors, because that was, as an author, as a publisher, as a book coach, that's what I was trying to do, was help people in their business establish credibility. Once you write a book and now you're known for your book, and if it happens to be in the same field as your business, you literally have instant credibility. And that's what we want. We want to build credibility and authority in our businesses. We want people to know who we are. We want them to know what our value is, so that we can get that to them. But in reality, not just being an author, it applies to all of us. Even as we age, In your 30s, 40s, 50s, you may have been very well known, but now all of a sudden you're 65, 75, and 85. Unless you're a movie star or a athlete or something, we forget. And the visibility that we had kind of disappears. And most of us, it turns out, we live in the past. Our brains are there. We still think we have what we don't have. We don't recognize that we slidden down this slippery slope of becoming invisible again. So what we have is unrecognized invisibility, unconscious disengagement. So this invisible decline happens without our awareness. And if you can say, after you assess this thing, you look at Google, you do your, again, I'm becoming invisible professionally, socially, culturally. Those are the people that have a possibility of responding to becoming visible again, because they recognize I was here, I'm now here, and I'm sliding down. But what about the others? They don't recognize that they went from here to here to here and they're still falling. They have no recollection. They have no recognition of decline. And that's a pretty big deal. It really and truly is. If you're not monitoring yourself, who is? Some people have staffs that do that. They have metrics. They have all sorts of things that tell them where they are every week. That's not most of us. Most of us, maybe a business owner, single person, we don't have that luxury. And they don't understand the mechanics of what's happening. 20 years ago, it's not the same thing as today. If you're still living in that 20 year ago, now you may have had a store that had your name on it, and people in the neighborhood know who you are. They recognize you. You have a couple TV shows on, a couple of commercials. That's local. Today, it's a different world. So when you look at what the mechanics are happening from visibility to invisibility and back to visibility, most of them can't identify the change that happened to them. Most of them blame COVID. It wasn't COVID. It was the technology around that we didn't adapt to in order to become at least status quo to what we were before. So most people, when they start losing visibility, they begin to drift into passivity, and they don't know the opportunities that they lost that might have been present. They don't know what they don't know. And that's a big deal. I mean, I've heard that expression for decades in business. Oh, we don't know what we don't know. Well, go find out. And a lot of times it's super difficult. That's why we have shows like this one. Invisibility is gradual. You get fewer invitations, fewer calls, fewer people are asking your opinion. You have less visibility online. And probably one of the more important things is you have less relevance in a fast changing technology. If you're looking at your business, do you have a vibrant video presentation on YouTube that has 150 videos of your business and how you help people and the value you add, those kinds of things? What are the people today that want to buy you or your product or your service? What are they looking for? Where are they looking? If they're not looking where you're posting your stuff, you're invisible. So where is your audience looking? So many people are finding that younger generations are bypassing them. Automatic, you have 20 years experience. Now all of a sudden there's some guy with 5 years experience, and now they're your boss. What happened? And many of us kind of say, well, life's slowing down, but they don't look at it as being less relevant. They look at it as they're blaming something else on it. So, and when you start blaming something else, corrective action almost becomes impossible. We don't want to look at it as victimhood, but more of a stalled adaptation. We can do it. We just don't know what to do. We don't want to put blame on something, but when you have a failure to remain aware of things, that becomes part of the problem. But again, victimhood, blame, no. We need to adapt. I mean, it's a simple thing. So shows like mine, we're talking about awareness. Awareness precedes adaptation. And so as we provide information, you can say, aha, okay, maybe. Let me ask a couple people. And so if you ignore the problems, they get worse. Same thing like age. Just if you have something wrong and you ignore it, it'll get worse. You have unidentified causes persist. whatever caused you to start losing your visibility is persisting. What is it? It's like age. It will persist. Systems unmonitored tend to drift toward failure. Well, because nobody's sitting there tweaking them, keeping them honed in at the right one. I have the same problem with age. Visibility can be rebuilt, just like age. Relevance can be reestablished, again, just like age. And engagement can be renewed, again, just like age. But you have to recognize the problem, the condition, visibility. And again, I'm talking to the business owners, the authors, the people, the entrepreneur, the people who want that visibility. You know, if you're just happy sitting on a couch watching TV, awareness. But if you really truly want to get that visibility for your business, so you can help people, you can add value out there in the world, you know, it's something pretty important. People experience the symptoms, but they don't know the language of the process, and that's what we're kind of here to talk about today. So I ask you a question: how have you been known during your life? You know, typically when I was in the military, my wife is known as Red's wife. You know, we get out of the military, kids are going to school. Michelle's mom, you know, have grandkids. Hector's grandma. She has always been known not as Marilyn, but as a relationship, not by who she is by herself. Now, if she gets in a group and they don't know me, different animal. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. So we know the IT guy, we know the plant lady, we know the insurance, the woman who sells houses. We know a lot of people by the relationship. And then the other problem that people have is common name syndrome. Jane Smith, author. There might be 15 other Jane Smiths, some of them authors, and that becomes very confusing. I had a guest recently that the name was very familiar. I search it, okay, there's a picture, okay, I'm pretty sure that's it. And yet when I take a look at the two, the photos are fairly close. You would almost think at a glance, but they're two different people. And so even when you have things identifying you, it's not automatic. So how do you remain invisible? You hide behind others. You don't have a website. You use AOL, Gmail, or Hotmail. You're not distinctive. So who are you? You know, years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, everything was local. Your reputation, your relationship, your authority, everything was local because that's where people drove. That's where people were at. But today, we live in a digital world, totally different environment. You have to be searchable. You have to be connectable. If you want to have a good first impression, it's going to be on Google. That's generally where everything is going to happen. So you're connected by your photos, your articles, your blogs, your videos, by many, many things. So your goal is not only just visibility, but to get your value out there to him. Just because people can recognize your face. Oh, Red O'Laughlin. Well, who's he? What does he do? How can he help me? Do I even need him? Yep. So you need to focus both on your visibility and your value. But if you're like me, and this happens to me quite often, what was that? And I'm sitting there, okay. I know it was a movie. I know it was a male, okay, 60s. And so I'm putting these search fragments in. I think the title of the movie had a boat in it. I don't know. And I start doing a search. Okay, well, that's not it. Let's try something else. And so sometimes you're trying to remember somebody, something, some product, some whatever. And all we're doing is searching by fragments because we don't have a connection that really and truly establishes who that person is. So when you start losing that visibility over time, it kind of evaporates and collapses on you. You know, even when you're unique. Red O'Laughlin, that's my name. It's my dad's name too. He was a mayor of Orange Park, Florida. But if you do Red O'Laughlin, mayor of Florida City, you're going to get two different Red O'Laughlins. One was a guy came out of World War II. He and his wife, Pierce City, he was a mayor. She was something else there but Red O'Laughlin, you know, just 30 years before my dad became mayor and 20 years before my dad became mayor in Orange Park. So even if you have a unique name, you know, sometimes there are other people with that unique name that are visible. So even uniqueness can create frustration in searching. I had somebody call me on the phone the other day and we chatted. She was looking for Red O'Laughlin, believe it or not. Well, after 20 questions, it turned out she was looking for my son. They used to work together way back when. But her last name was a Polish name that when her grandfather came over had 22 letters in it. They shortened it to 16. So just because the names are there, if it's a really different kind of spelling, many things can happen. But we see these people, and they seem to be visible. You see them on TV all the time. Are they there because they have an ego and they need to be seen? No. Are they promoting themselves? More than likely. Is it narcissism? Probably not. Are they salesy? Definitely. Uh, you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you that I was a really dyed-in-the-wool introvert. I am. I I I have to put a broadcaster hat on, or an extrovert hat on, or a networking hat on, or a show hat on. Whatever hat I have to wear, I learned many years ago. You put that hat on, you go do the job. That mission is there. Boom. That mission is done. You come home, you take the hat off, you sit down with the book and enjoy it. You did what you had to do while you had to do it. You enjoyed it. You had fun, because that's who you were at that time. But the minute that I have my own life and nobody else is around, that hat goes off and I become a different person. But I enjoy both aspects because one promotes my value to others and the other one makes me happy. Actually, they both make me happy, but I just have more comfort in one over the other. So I say, ditch your inner feelings. You put on a hat, become a different person. It's not required, but it is needed for visibility. It's kind of hard to hide feelings, that if you're very nervous and whatever. And again, that's just part of life. I can't tell you how many people I know that are scared to death of speaking. And the mere fact that, you know, they get up in front of an audience and, well, that wasn't so bad. And they do it again. Okay. And so you need some level of repetition in order to get that perceived stress level down to a manageable part. But with visibility comes clarity, it comes accessibility, it comes consistency. And that's a big word I'm going to hammer on: consistency. And comes reputation, trust, discoverability. You're not famous, you're just findable. But you need to be findable because you have permanent visibility. In other words, you have books, you have videos, you have articles, you have blogs. All are permanent. They can be found someplace, way, shape, or form. But if you're giving speeches, they're not recorded, they're not posted anywhere. You show up at a networking event, those people's memories disappear over time. There's nothing there that's permanent. You are visible for an hour. You may be in memory for 2 months, but you've evaporated. So you need that permanency. So what are you doing every week to remain permanent? Doing podcast interviews, social media presence, and I don't mean just liking, actually having some conversation on there by posting, by responding to people, having a conversation online, creating a video, adding content. You have to be and you have to remain permanent and searchable. Consistency. It doesn't happen any other way. The number of your appearances, the repetition adds up, and now all of a sudden you're in that role, as people say, teaching sets you apart because you're in a different mode. You're providing value to people, and people kind of interpret you. You're not a teacher, you're an instructor. But you're seen as a different kind of person because you have solutions to people's problems. So the messaging is critical. You're sharing your value and you're sharing it often. So people begin to say, "Oh, he must know what he's doing because he's teaching." And that kind of runs the thread down the road. So, you're teaching a class at your church, community center. You're giving free demonstrations at the hardware store because your skill level and something, whatever it may happen to be, or you're teaching, carpentry on YouTube. Lots of ways of teaching. With the technology we have today, very difficult not to become a teacher. But you got to view your visibility as an ecosystem. It's your website, it's your books, your biography, short biography, long biography. It's your interviews, your podcasts, your social media presence, your photos, your testimonials, and even your disagreements. Sometimes you can disagree with somebody politely because you have a different opinion. I'm not talking about politics. It may be a sports issue, it may be some aspect of a technology, the incorporation of something. There are things you can be politely disagreeable with, and people will recognize you for having the counter opinion. Uh, but you're invisible when people cannot connect you to your value, and that's part of what visibility is one thing, but you got to connect your value too. Okay, visibility doesn't happen overnight. You don't go invisible to visible. Yeah, if you got enough money, you probably can. If you make a viral video, but then where's the second, third, fourth viral video? They're not there anymore. In a year, that viral video, you're invisible. Consistency, mandatory requirement. If you want to become visible, you have to be consistent. Every week minimum. You can't not do something. Yeah, you can go on vacation for 2 weeks. 2 weeks isn't going to hurt anything. Not, of course, a lot of people have the ability to program stuff in the future, and it's just like you were there. But you got to ask yourself, who's your audience? And we don't ask that question often enough, I don't think. How do you reach them? Where are they at? What social media are they on? What podcast do they listen to? Where are they at? And then when I take my authors and they're creating their first book, I said, who's your competition? If you're a business owner and you're a landscaping artist in South Houston, who's your competition? 300 other people. What value do you offer that the others don't offer? That is a critical question, because that's how they learn your value over someone else's. How do they learn to trust you? You have to become the expert. So let's say that you're a landscaping person. Maybe I have 150 videos on how to take care of certain kinds of plants, how to take care of a yard, seasonal changes, fertilizer, soil types, all sorts of things, pool cleaning, lots of things that people have every day of their life that at some point in time somebody's going to go on. Okay, you're accessible. You're in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, they don't have the same weather there they have in Rhode Island, but the same tips are applicable. And if somebody needs to call you on the phone to ask you a question, boom, they can reach you. Get yourself a good headshot. That's super critical. Get a one-page website if you can't do anything else, and have an offer on there. It's called a ethical bribe, I guess is what they used to call it. You give them something for their information. You can do a lot of things there. If you haven't done a Google business profile, do one. If you haven't updated your social media profiles in a while, update them. And that's probably the easiest thing to do. Take your old profile, put it into ChatGPT or some other AI, and say, I want to update this for LinkedIn, but I want to include these other things that are also part of my life. Have them write it, tweak it a couple times, upload it. Use AI to help you. Visibility can happen quickly, but you have to use the right tools. But again, just as quickly as things happen, if you're not consistent, it fades quickly. Collect testimonials, video and written. These build credibility. You have 15 people that says you did a great job on their yard, or you cleaned up a mess in their pool that you'd never believe could be done in a week. Get these things, get them out there. If the guy is there and you have your camera, could you give me a 30-second testimonial about my service? Good, bad, or indifferent. And then, because you have visibility, but if you don't have proof of it, it's just a very weak claim. So if you have something you're doing, let's say you're working a yard, a pool, any kind of business, take a before and an after photo. A before something happened, the results, before and after. That now gives you that little bit of more credibility. It's like, this is what it was. This is what it is. This is what I did. That's my value. So now you start shifting from visibility to recognition. You start speaking more often, local and digitally. Again, if you don't have a YouTube site, maybe that's an area that you can be speaking to on a more constant basis. So maybe the first 20 videos you put up there, they're terrible. They're absolutely, you just don't have the grace to stand in front of a camera and talk. But by the time the 15th or 20th or 25th comes around, now you get it down pat. You don't have that stress. Okay, no big deal. Make all those first 25 private, nobody sees them, and now just start redoing the same ones you did with that more oomph that you needed initially and you just didn't have, that more confidence. Those are the things that you need to do. Create content. I've created over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn, and I had like 632 days in a row that I was adding stuff, and then I came down with COVID, and then all of a sudden my consistency stopped. I mean, flat out just stopped. And I'm getting back now to where I'm doing again, not with the consistency of once a day, but I understand life happens. My life right now is I wrote a book, had so many 12 days I wrote it, 8 days I edited it. Now I'm doing the standardization of the book chapter to chapter. So you have time to do this. Things happen all over the place. We had house guests from out of the country this past few days. So you have interruptions, but you still have to have some level of consistency. So, okay, I know I wasn't consistent on marketing the last 3 weeks. I got to get back into it. It's something I have to do. It's a must do. So I understand that. I'm working on it. It will happen. But you need to become the authority people know, people want to go to. And you have to do that by becoming searchable and visible. When you become tangible, you become searchable, you become shareable, and the consistency ensures that. And time compounds the effect. You do it repeated. Now, all of a sudden, people recognize you. They know who you are. They know how to get in touch with you, and you share your value often. Repetition creates familiarity, which creates trust. So, let's say that you're in a landscaping business. What are 10 things people do wrong? Do a PDF. That can be your your one web page giveaway. Do you have a slogan? People kill plants out of kindness. I don't know what the slogan is, but have something that's memorable. I wrote a book, Aging Sucks. I think that's kind of memorable. Hope it is. I'm planning on it being. Do you have a brand? Are you branding yourself? Are you branding your product? Are you branding your service? Where do people find what your value is? Do you have a solution guide for people's problems? Maybe you have. How do you prepare your plants for winters in Montana, in Florida, in Nevada? Different kinds of plants, different kinds of problems. People have problems. How do you do whatever? Create a solution guide based on your value, your skills, the things that you've learned in life. Make it an ebook. Now it becomes you're an author. You don't have to have degrees. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have fame. All you need is consistency on the little things you do every single week. Consistency creates visibility, that creates clarity, that creates trust. So you get that trust over time, that becomes your secret weapon. It really and truly does. That is where your value shines. Experience hidden from others only helps a few, people that you know locally. But your knowledge shared with others helps many, because now you're going out to a world, to a continent you may not even know that somebody's using your information, but it's relevant to their situation on that particular day, because they can search you, they know what you have, they know how to follow you. So kind of assess, where are you today? Are you happy? Are you invisible? Do you want to remain that way? Simple questions, but you got to start with awareness. Where are you today? Are you happy and you want to be that way? Okay, maybe you're phasing out, maybe you're retiring. That's fine. But you can still offer a lot of value in retirement. You just don't have to do it, 30, 40 hours a week. Maybe you just pop up periodically and say, hey, anybody got a problem? I can help you. So, okay, my book, Aging Sucks, planned release date July 4th. That's still a go. I'll have pre-orders available, hopefully the 1st of June. I'm really working right this minute to make that happen. And I have a planned webinar series also starting somewhere around the middle of September that I want to talk about aging and other related health issues. So that's my world coming up. And again, if you are on YouTube watching this thing today and you got this far, please consider subscribing. There's a lot of value that's offered on, I think we're on 60 different countries in there, and we're on probably 60 plus different shows that are offered. Almost well over a dozen platforms. So please consider subscribing on YouTube for the USA Global TV and Radio Network and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. That's the end of my show for today, and I will catch you all next week. Have a wonderful time. Take care. Bye, y'all.
Hey, you. Psst. Yes, you. watching this right now. Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this. Your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no, lowering your price to secure the opportunity, giving more while receiving less. Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.